I've been seeing these different titles on LinkedIn for recruiters. The tall recruiter, the fun recruiter. I think it's more of a North American thing. Mine is the controversial recruiter. Because
but then again, let's be a bit practical. So Karen, I don't want you to apply for the CEO of Safaricom today because you have to shoot all your shots, right?
Ensure your CV has on the header your contact information.
So that now brings an issue of integrity issues and all that. So I think be honest and explain your gaps.
If you're able to listen to me and even know that I'm not a good fit because of this particular thing, I think it's a better thing than me coming into the organization and I don't even make it past probation and now you let me go and now I'm jobless.
They'll say they're fast learners.
Because of that,
do you know? Hi, good people. My name is Karen Olege. I am a career strategist and coach. Welcome to Career Talks with Karen. My purpose and my mission is to ensure that each one of you and every working professional gets the most out of their work, is fulfilled and satisfied while at it. So if that is what you're looking for, then you're in the right place. Welcome to Career Talks with Karen. Please like this content, share, and subscribe. Even press the notification bell so that you do not miss out on any future episodes. Today with me, I have a panel. Remember, I asked you on my socials to ask a recruiter. So I have a panel of global recruiters who are joining me in the conversation today to answer your questions. Let's get started. This is Career Talks with Karen. Ladies and gentlemen, so as I have mentioned, today I have global recruiters and these are just experts in recruitment. They're here to answer your questions. Most of you have had good or not so good experiences with interviews. Some of you don't even know what goes on behind the scenes, what is in the mind of the recruiter, what's going on as they are interviewing you. So they are here to answer the questions that you asked me. I will be posing those to them. But before we begin, how about they introduce themselves? I will allow them to introduce themselves so that they can tell you exactly who they are. I will begin with the ladies first. So on my right, tell us who you are.
Thank you, Karen. Super happy to be here. I am Gathoni Mwangi, global recruiter. I have spent the last decade between HR and talent acquisition. I actually studied Bachelor of Commerce, started in finance. I'm so happy I didn't go down that route because this is where I'm supposed to be, in the talent space, in the people space. I've been lucky enough to work in West Africa. I was in Nigeria for 2 years working with DHL on HR transformation projects. Then I came back to East Africa. Home is best, love it, not going anywhere unless there's a good offer. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. I've worked in management consulting, I've worked in agri-tech and investment advisory, all in the recruitment realm, and that's truly my passion. This is where I'm supposed to be.
Wow.
And this is where I shall retire in Jesus' name.
Amen. Look at that. Someone who is actually very proud and passionate about what they are doing. Gentleman.
Now, how do I top that? All right, let's do this. So, ladies and gentlemen, mabibi na mabwana, welcome. I'm excited to be here. My name is Joseph Ndegwa, a global recruiter. Well, I also love being in this space. I did industrial chemistry, and then I realized I enjoy working with people and also giving people an opportunity to express themselves as they pursue future prosperity through their careers. So I'm excited, looking forward to your questions. Let's connect, follow the YouTube channel. Let's connect on LinkedIn, some advices here and there, and maybe a job as well. You never know. Welcome.
Wow, guys, today I have really brought that panel, and we are here to answer your questions. And I'll just start from the beginning. CVs. The CV is our first point of interaction. Us, I am audience.
Yes.
So the CV is our first point of interaction with the recruiter.
Yeah.
And most people, there's very many different sources of information that say different things about the CV. But I would like to ask you as a recruiter, what really are you looking for? We have very many people out there who are writing CVs for people and they're just making it very artistic. Is that artistic, look and feel of the CV what really matters to you, or is it the content, or what is the balance between that, look and feel and the colors and the font, as opposed to just what is inside there, my actual qualifications and experience? I can start with you, Gadoni.
Awesome. I've been seeing these different titles on LinkedIn for recruiters. The tall recruiter, the fun recruiter. I think it's more of a North American thing. Mine is the controversial recruiter. Because I don't think there's any problem with having your CV professionally reviewed, getting some updates, but you have to take ownership. And I think the easiest way to take that ownership is you follow a model called STAR. And that's what I always tell all my candidates from university all the way up to C-suite. If you don't have numbers in your CV, how will we know what you've achieved? Right? If you don't have the dates of employment, if you don't have the company name, if you don't have your role, even if you've been growing in the company, show us that growth, right? You might have been working at Andela for 10 years, right? Where did you start and where have you moved to? So there is a fine balance between having it professionally reviewed, updated, but you have to take ownership. And the key thing for me typically to understand if somebody has achieved in their role is, do you have the numbers? Do you have the numbers to speak to the productivity? What did you increase? What did you improve? We use a lot of these words like efficiency, improvement, process optimization. Break it down in numbers. Because at the end of the day, a business cares about bottom line. Bottom line is numbers. So one of my key pieces of advice is ensure your bullet points where you're describing your accomplishments have some numbers. But if you follow STAR, it's quite simple. What situation were you in? What tasks were you asked to do? What did you achieve? Now, under that achievement is where we add result. And the results should be both quantitative and qualitative. So again, there's nothing wrong with that. But another piece of advice, especially for companies that do mass recruitment, I'm talking about in a quarter you need to hire 200 people. Ensure your CV has on the header your contact information. Because take a scenario where maybe you're printing these CVs, you're pushing them around, etc., or somebody is reading through, unfortunately, a 7-page CV, which we should not be having. You ask yourself, was this Joseph or was this Karen? Like
you're
on
lost.
page 5, you're lost. So it's always good to have your information on the header, your name, your contact information, your LinkedIn profile. That's something people haven't been doing a lot lately, and that's why you'll see in application processes we are asked, what is your LinkedIn profile? Have it on your CV. Be proactive so that somebody can get to understand who is this person. On LinkedIn we get to see your posts, your activity, what you're following. It's CV is a handshake. LinkedIn is opening the door to who you are. So that's my take on that.
Those are very good insights, and especially on pointing out the achievements. Joseph, what would you say about me just giving my CV as it is to a CV revamper or a CV garage, and asking that person do it for me, and then I start sharing it with you, recruiters? What is your feel about that?
So Gadoni did point out that she's a, what did you say?
Controversial
recruiter.
So I tend to be on the practical side. So if you can allow me, maybe I'll use an illustration as an example. So assume I'm working to recruit a bank teller, right? And I receive 10 CVs of guys who are actually currently working as bank tellers. And they're all working for bank ABC. All right? So they all have the same JD. So typically what these guys will end up doing, or most people do, is they copy their JD
copy
Oh
paste.
my God.
They
Yeah.
copy their JD, and so I'll say I've been at ABCD,
Yeah.
working since last year to now, and this is what I did. So when I receive those 10 CVs, can I differentiate them other than the names? I
No.
can't.
It's
Exactly.
the same
So
thing.
that's why your contribution while on that role really matters. And these are the things you're calling achievements. What did you actually do while on the role other than what you were called to do? So this can be, for example, as a teller, I was part of the, to revamp our customer journey experience. So talk about that. Part of the team that worked on revamping our customer journey experience. My role in this, as she put it, was da-da-da-da. So I can see there's other than you being a teller, because I now have 10 tellers
10
here.
tellers, yeah.
Other than you being a teller, then I have someone who has some transferable skill set that they'll bring into this role. Yes. So, and then when you talk about CV garages, and I totally agree with Gathoni. I mean, it's your story.
Yeah.
And I always say,
It's your story.
no one can tell your story better.
Then you.
So that's the part of the ownership. That says, in a summary, I'll say always content over form. All right? And when we talk about form, I always give guys this resource. So it's an online, they've not paid me. If you want form,
Yes.
you go to resume.io. You will get so many templates of how your CV can look. Resume.io. So you can probably include the link somewhere.
Yeah, in the description.
Then on the content, I think playback Gathoni's beat.
Yeah.
That's exactly how you want your content looking.
Yeah.
What did you actually do? What did you contribute while on that role? Then if you do that, I mean, those are the line items that will differentiate you from another CV.
Yeah.
And then you'll stand a chance to be probably shortlisted. Yeah.
Something else I should add.
Yes.
The industry you're applying to, or even the role you're applying to, you should tailor your CV to it. A lot of people have a standard CV, they copy paste it, send it everywhere. It's okay, sometimes it works.
Yeah.
But if I think about consulting, management consulting, which is where majority of my background has been, if you have a CV more than 2 pages, you're out the window. The standard is a 1-page CV, 2-page on the maximum. If I think about something like a sales and marketing CV, it's a lot more savvy, creative. I've seen people include company logos. I've seen people include some of the projects they've worked on at the very end, right? So try and also understand, in my space, in this industry, what CV is acceptable. Because in public sector, it's very acceptable also to have a 10-page CV.
That's
it's
true.
wonderful. They love it. They want to see your ID number. They want to see your ethnicity. They want to see all those things.
Marital status.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. There's another question about the qualifications. Now, when you put out a job advertisement, and there is all this, you have enumerated the qualifications, the experience that somebody needs for them to apply to this job. There's 2 schools of thought to that. There are people who tell us, don't even waste your time. If you can see that you're not meeting the criteria, if you can see you're being asked for 10 years experience, you don't have that. You can see this is asking for an MBA, you don't have that. Don't even waste your time applying for that job. But there's also another school of thought that tells us, shoot your short. You may not have
100% of them.
Shots in
intake.
Yeah, exactly. So we are being told, just apply. You don't have whatever, you don't have everything. You have some of it, maybe 50%, maybe 60, 70%. So just go ahead and apply. As a recruiter, Joseph, which school of thought is the correct one?
I'm still on the practical bit. So here's the thing, right?
Yes.
If, again, going by the example of the bank teller, so I have someone who is 1 month experience, for example, versus, I don't know, five CVs that have come in, each having maybe 3 and above years of experience. I mean, we will start with the most experienced guys, to be fair, because you're just 1 month into that role. So I don't know what skill set you'll be transferring into this new role compared to the guys who have more experience. But then again, there's always, because it's an issue of chance, I might also be looking for an intern within the same department or a junior role within the same department, or probably even a contract opportunity will come up. And I'll say, okay, this CV or this person is a standout candidate. I'll have it at the back of my mind. I'm sure Gadoni can confirm this. We normally have those CVs where you're thinking, if and when this pops up, I'm so glad I saw this CV. So, but then again, let's be a bit practical. So Karen, I don't want you to apply for the CEO of Safaricom today because you have to shoot all your shots, right? So there's also that bit on being a bit realistic in terms of gauging your actually relevance experience in relation to that role. When organizations put years of experience, there's a methodology to how we arrive to that number. There's an assumption that these numbers are just put out there to deny people opportunity. But no, it's actually the expectations that will come with bearing that role. So therefore, and it goes through a process of job evaluation, which is what will determine the years of experience required for this role. So therefore, because there's a methodology, don't assume these people didn't know. But again, we are playing a game of chance and we are saying, go for it within, reasonable limits. But that I'll leave to your discretion as a candidate. Yes. I don't know, Gadoni,
what do you think?
The controversial recruitment. I think it's a personal rule. I don't expect anyone else to follow it. But I say plus or minus 2. So if a role is asking for 10 years of experience and you have 8, that is minus
reasonable
2.
limits.
Go ahead,
reasonable limits.
go for it. Plus 2, 12. Go ahead, go for it. But people who are shooting their shots with a 5-year gap, I think it's a bit of a...
They're pushing it.
They're reaching. I've actually found interns, fresh graduates from university applying for CFO roles. And I just wonder, what was the thinking? I know sometimes desperation comes into play, and sometimes what Joseph is talking about is someone is just trying to get themselves in the door so that you can redirect them to another role. We do a lot of that where I work, actually. We call it keep in touch pool. Someone is not fitted for this role, we save their profile onto something else. So we tag them for a different department, etc. But let's be realistic. The other thing, it has asked for a master's. Is it required or is it preferred? If it's been specified as preferred, please shoot your shot, shoot it. If there's no specification, shoot it again. Once it says required, that's when you know, hey, if I don't have this, then
this is mandatory.
There's no point. And keep in mind, as we recruit, even the market is small. Well, it's not small, but it feels small once you've been doing it for a long time. You'll keep remembering, that candidate who applied for that job, and this job, and that job, and that job. And you wonder, what is the quality of this person? Are they focused? Do they understand their value? Right? But I'm always for the plus or minus 2 situation, because I won't point you out, but Joseph, you're quite young with a very senior role.
Very true.
Quality of experience actually matters a lot more than duration. Duration is important, but quality is really key.
Wow. Reasonable limits. I don't know what that means to you guys, but you really need to be within. There's some CVs that you receive and it's ridiculous. I know I also was at a point where I was receiving some CVs for a role, and I was just wondering, someone has 2 years experience, 3 years experience, you can see that they graduated 2 years ago, and they're applying for head of department role. Sometimes you're just wondering, this person is not serious. They're not a joker, and you also want to look like you're serious. You do qualify, you're nearing the qualifications, only that you're not there yet. And that's when somebody can say, let me keep this in the keep in touch pool.
Exactly.
Okay. My next question would be, of course, from my viewers, the issue about employment gaps in my CV. So, I don't know. I also feel the recruitment space is morphing as we go, because I know there's where we are coming from and there's where we are and there's where we are going. And initially there was a lot of this, why are there gaps? And people sometimes go through pains to try and hide those gaps even in the CV and try to say perhaps this time to this time I was self-employed when really you had just taken a break so that you don't have that gap standing out in your CV. And this issue has really been it's really a thing right now, especially after COVID, because now people have gaps in their CVs. And there's one specific person from the audience or from my socials who asked the question that they have, after COVID, they lost their job, and then they started taking jobs that were not necessarily their fit. You know, those jobs that you take
just to survive.
Yeah. So you are there for 3 months because you found another opportunity. So they're asking, between me having a gap in my CV and me filling it in with these little 2-month, 3-month gigs, which is the best? Because each of these things has its downsides. Also, this 2 months, 3 months, somebody can be like, why were you having a job for 2-3 months and then leaving? But then at the same time, if you omit them, why were you having gaps? So what's your take as a recruiter when you see these things that only in people's CVs?
That's a tough one, because even me myself, I've had gaps before.
Right? Me too.
I'm proud to say it, but I think the most important thing is to say the truth. Speak the truth, because what happens, say you get all the way to the end for the offer and we're doing the reference checks and you said, oh, I left because I had a terrible illness, but really you left because you failed the PIP, right? You couldn't make it, you were pushed out. So it's important to be truthful, but what I've noticed, especially from a lot of South African CVs I've seen, is people add reason for leaving or reason for the gap in the actual CV. So that as somebody is reviewing and they have these questions, they don't just pack you and put you in the trash. They say, oh, okay, COVID happened, there was restructuring, you know. So it gives you time to now focus on the actual jobs the person has done. If you're able to put that reason for leaving or what was the gap, what was happening. So I've seen it a lot in Southern Africa CVs. So that's my take on that.
How would you interpret those gaps in the CVs?
Again, from a practical sense of it, I'll give an example. So I think, actually you said the recruitment space and HR space is kind of morphing. It's somewhere we are coming from and somewhere we are headed. So in some of the experiences we've had with international exposure or experience is something that's common in Europe, in US, is to take a break in your career, maybe for parental reasons, right? And in this context, this is actually very respected. And so even when you're done with it, so for example, in Norway, the maternity period is 1 year, and most of the Scandinavian. While if you take 1 year break here to be a parent, I don't know how it will be perceived, right? So I think we are also morphing and saying that, and I like what Gadoni said, honesty sets everyone free. I would rather be honest in getting a job rather than, create some story that is at the risk of being found out that was a made-up story or it wasn't honest. I always use that card. Play your honesty because you'll also be honest with yourself. The thing about a lie is you don't know how far it will go. You don't know, and it leaves such a bad taste in my mouth as a recruiter. If I end up finding out, I would rather you even tell me, on this one, Joseph, I was dismissed. So I'll know how to handle, I know how to handle that conversation, even with the hiring manager. Rather than, I'm found flat-foot, I didn't know you were dismissed. We are knowing from your HR. And the hiring manager is like, so our guy was dismissed and he didn't think of disclosing this. We are fine. So that now brings an issue of, integrity issues and all that. So I think be honest and explain your gaps. I also had gaps. I did gigs, and I also act once in a while.
Short term, very short term.
Exactly. So and what is important is even in these gigs, you'll find that if you look keenly, there's a reason why you probably got that gig. Other than paying your bills, there's probably a skill set you had that applied in that gig. And you'll find these skill sets are mostly transferable. So you can leverage on a skill set you had at some place. It was probably totally out of your line, but you probably improved your stakeholder engagement or relationship management out of it, right? So I think talk about them, see the wins in them and how they fit in your narrative.
And I think personally, this thing about being honest to recruiters, I don't know why initially, maybe, I don't know how and where this came from, but I don't know why we feel that recruiters just don't understand. They're not human. And these things are happening to everyone. If you're sick, everyone gets sick.
Yeah.
If you're taking parental leave, even being fired, I mean, organizations are restructuring every day.
Yeah.
And people are losing their jobs from organizations like Microsoft. So, so which organization? I mean, just talking about your truth and saying this is my truth. And for me, I think talking about that truth, even if the recruiter will not go with me, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine, but it sets me free. As opposed to, and these days reference checks are real.
Yep.
They are real. People actually, guys, let me tell you, if reference checks have not been done on you, HR people, recruiters will always do it. And sometimes they don't even disclose, which I know is could be an issue. The organizations that have a very structured way around it. But at times I'm not even structured around it, but I happen to meet Gadoni, who is working in company X, and I have somebody who I'm just about to give an offer, who has mentioned company X. So it's very possible for me informally to just ask, oh, by the way, do you know so and so? And I have gotten such questions
they do
where people are asking me, do you know so and so? So it's just better that you actually say your truth. If you don't get the job, it's fine. But that's your truth.
Yeah, we actually call that soft checks because it's done way before, maybe even before you get to the final round interview, so that nobody's time is wasted. Now, if it's legal or not, those are other stories.
But it happens.
But the truth is, it happens. So you need to be prepared that somebody will ask, hey, and there's another comment you made about, people are scared to tell recruiters this and that. Recruiters are matchmakers. That's how I view it. We are the middleman. We are not personnel managers, on the team of the company. We are team everybody. We're trying to bring everyone to the table, to the middle. Let's see what can work. So I think when you connect with your recruiter, don't see them as the company and that person who is just going to boot me out or keep me in. Have a natural relationship.
Your ambassador.
That's your ambassador. They are the ambassador for both. It's a very hard line. But it's the line we walk, and candidates should start respecting and not even respecting, but believing in that. They really should.
Recruiters are your friends. And one thing I learned from him, I used to think recruiters are just trying to not give us the job. And then I realized they actually really want to close this role. That is their job.
That's our KPI.
Like, you guys want to hire us.
Exactly. Actually, if you go and check, probably if you're googling interview questions to ask a recruiter, one of the questions there is how do you deal with difficult hiring managers? So that's the other side of our role.
Exactly.
Perceived difficult hiring manager, because when a hiring manager is not getting the right talent, of course frustrations start building. Who receives the frustration?
The recruiter.
It's me. So I'm not supporting you to fill this role, right? So candidates should actually, as Gadoni put it, and we are agreeing here, we are our ambassadors on both sides. We want to matchmakers. We want to bring you on board. I'm also measured on that. So if actually this role is constantly failing, what does it say about me?
About you. You're not
exactly. And also for the organization, we know this is a critical role. We are trying to bring on board someone so that this role can continue in delivering the value it is supposed to deliver. So if we are not, what are the implications? So we actually thin line, as she put it.
The acrobats.
So now, for the purposes of my audience, I will ask this question.
Yes.
Why are we filling out those very long web-based, applications and then attaching our CV with the very same information? So let us know what is going on behind these systems.
Okay. Do you want me to go first or ladies first?
Please go first.
All right, so I'll go first. So what is happening is, again, we are coming from somewhere, headed somewhere. So let me explain the practical bit of it. We have systems that have been procured. We call them ATSs, applicant tracking systems, right? And they all kind of are different in a way. So there are some that can actually pick details from your CV and make a profile. And for those ones, you'll find that filling out your profile is not mandatory. And then there's the vice versa. One that cannot pick details from your CV. Okay? And then what we actually want to do with having this information with us in our system is storing it in an orderly way. So that because when Karen sends me her CV, she's probably done it using her own creative mind. Gathoni has done her own creative approach. But when I use a system, I'll have a structured way, standardized. When I'm communicating, I know how. She did mention of keep in touch pools. So that's how I'll be able to manage within the system to maybe do bulk emails, communicate, manage my candidates, my pipelines, all that. Also, you'll find that the hiring managers who will be like, I mean, systems are systems. So there are some who probably don't have access to the system, or someone within the panel who does not have the rights to the system, but will need to see a CV against that profile. So we'll send them your profile. So I know it's double work, but I also pray when I make applications that I don't need to do double work.
To do the two.
Yes, but from a practical sense, this is what I also say. If this role suits your profile, it will most likely even pay you better than you're currently earning. Just pay the price.
Pay the price,
just pay the price. I know it's a bit laborious, but pay the price for at least getting. Don't create the chance of I was not shortlisted because I didn't do this. No one wants that. It's not the reason for not being shortlisted, but don't give them a reason, if any, right? And there's logic behind it. For most is to store this data in a systemized way so that we can be able to, interact with these profiles easily, do reports. We want to see our trends, where our applications coming from, all that kind of stuff. So hence the reason why I encourage when you're supposed to do both, just do both. It's in your own interest.
And I actually always look at it as a backup, because at times also when it's just one, like if I missed out to include something in the web base, and then I upload my CV, if there's a question and you can double check with the CV that I uploaded, then it helps to cover someone. And systems sometimes fail. So you would like, I also see it as a backup. Are you using any of these web-based?
Yeah, we do, and I love them. Now I'll be the practical answer. Wear your hat for a second. There's times we find candidates are just applying to jobs just to apply. You see something is there, drop the CV, drop. So it's also a way for us to cut out the people who are not actually serious or actually interested in, firstly, the company, secondly, the role. Because one of the most typical questions is, why do you want to join XXX company? You have to have done your research. You have to have gone to the website, look at it. Maybe as you're looking, you'll say, this is not my vibe. Let me not even complete these questions. But for me especially, it's a way of having a very short interview, because most of the questions, you can't find them on the CV. They are really unique, very specific questions. And these days we actually even have those types of questions recorded on a video. So for example, if you're using Test Gorilla, instead of using those questions and having people type them out, they record their responses. And that's your mini interview in 15 minutes versus setting up a whole interview for 1 hour or 45 minutes or 30 minutes. Then the last bit is stamina. Jobs are hard. There's no job on this earth that is actually easy. Everybody has their challenges. So if you find responding to 5 questions a challenge, probably you'll have a huge challenge with this job. So that's how we view them.
So it's about doing what needs to be done for you to get it. And if you really want it and it's an opportunity that really matches your skill, then why not go ahead and do what is needed to be done.
Exactly.
I would like us to move to another interesting. So we are done with the CV. I have written my CV. I have now been shortlisted. And here I am, invited for an interview. So there is the usual questions that are asked in interviews, and sometimes we are feeling like this question is quite too cliche, and really, is there any honesty that that is supposed to come out of this? For example, now there's questions about what are your weaknesses. I think there is like a standard 3 responses globally.
Even Google has a list.
Google has a list.
Yeah.
And I just feel like everyone fits into that. For you as a recruiter, you already know some of these responses. What are you hoping that I will say when you're asking that question? And what goes on when I actually just go on with the usual? I am a perfectionist, and I'm saying, what is it that is happening at the back of your mind, Joseph?
All right. So again, being very practical, I don't like that question as a candidate or as a panelist.
Yeah.
But I get the sense of why people would ask it. Most of the time, we don't want to hear you're a perfectionist.
Yeah.
We probably want to see if you're self-aware to know the areas you're working on.
Yeah.
Right? So I would probably mention like something that I probably have noticed I'm not such a good communicator, and so these are the action steps I've taken towards improving myself.
Yes.
That's just an example I'm thinking on my feet, but the thinking is self-awareness. Do you know, you can clearly state out your strengths.
Yeah.
I also don't like calling them weaknesses. That's why I'm using areas I'm working on.
Areas
right?
I'm working on.
This is what I've noticed I've probably struggled with in my current role or previous roles. And so this is what I'm working. You can go ahead and talk about the proactive steps you're taking towards changing that. Maybe not to being a stellar candidate, but maybe just towards average, because it's an area you've noticed you're a bit lacking with. So that's how I perceive it. Yeah, self-awareness.
Yeah, you want to see a self-aware candidate.
A self-aware
and
candidate.
you don't want someone who thinks they're 100% everywhere in everything.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
at everything.
Gadoni, usually
I
what
agree
is-
with that. I totally agree with the self-awareness bit. Sometimes I do ask what are your weaknesses, because I've noticed when I ask what are your areas of improvement, it's like people are trying to dodge the actual core of the question, which is what are you not good at that you're really trying to be good at. They'll say they're working on this project and they're working on themselves personally. They'll say a lot of things which are not weakness. So sometimes I have to be very direct and say, no, I'm asking about your weakness. And if they say the typical things like I'm a perfectionist, I work too much, I work late hours.
I'm a timekeeper.
I'm so on time.
I'm very result-oriented.
Sometimes people get annoyed I'm too on time. We've had all sorts of crazy things. But I always ask them, so what is the impact of you being a perfectionist?
Yes.
In consulting, you've also been in consulting, there's 5 steps of problem solving. And you have to ask the why 5 times so that you get to the root cause.
Yes.
So you are perfectionist. So what? It slows you down. It slows you down. So sometimes you don't meet your deadlines. So you have a weakness with meeting deliverables on time.
Yes.
That's what we do with them. We work through the steps. And I never allow a candidate to leave the interview without giving me something realistic. We'll sit there, and many times I'll tell them, it's okay, I'll sit here.
I'll wait.
I'll
We figure it out together. I'm your ambassador because I have to write a report on you.
I have to understand. And then the other aspect is depending on the organization. Unfortunately, some of the weaknesses or these areas of development, we might not have the capacity to help you with them at that time.
True.
If I think of a startup with 15 people that just started maybe, I don't know, 2 months ago, and somebody has a specific problem with Excel and God knows what, whichever topic. And I know there's nobody in this team of 15 that can coach you. Why would I want to set you up for failure? And we don't have a supporting L&D program. Why would I want to set you up for failure? So at the back of our heads, we are also trying to figure out, okay, this is your problem. Maybe you're terrible at conflict resolution. We have a great mediator on the team. The two of you together will be okay. This will no longer be a weakness.
And I don't know, but I feel at times, even as the person who's applying the job, I'd rather be honest with what my weaknesses are. As Gadoni is saying, I don't think I want to go into an environment because the recruiter already understands the environment you're getting
dynamics,
into. I may not, I don't have the full picture. But if you're able to listen to me and even know that I'm not a good fit because of this particular thing, I think it's a better thing than me coming into the organization and I don't even make it past probation and now I'm let You let me go, and now I'm jobless. You know, it's better for me to stick where I am if really the kind of place that I'm going into is not a good fit. So for me, I think it's really a good thing for you to be as honest as you can, and the recruiter will even shield you from a failure that was supposed to happen in the next few months.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
They'll say they are fast learners.
Because of that,
do you know
next layer?
do you know, in the spirit of being honest about our weaknesses, I've actually realized two things about myself. Number one, I don't work well under pressure. Like I actually don't do very well under pressure.
Interesting.
And secondly, I have realized that I don't have attention to detail. I'm the big picture kind of a person. I will tell you this is how it needs to flow and everything. And so I work well with somebody who can
complement that.
Who can complement that so that I'm done with it. And I can give it to you so that you can work on the nitty-gritties.
And that's the example of what Gadoni was saying. So if you're the hiring manager and we want to bring someone to maybe work with you, and we bring someone who also is big picture kind of mindset, between you and them, no one wants to get into the trenches, right? So we just see these are conflict situations. Exactly, it's not complementing. But then again, there's another candidate who actually would fit and complement well with you. They probably lack the big picture perspective. But then you show them this is where we are going. They'll get into the trenches for you. So
And for me, I've found comfort in just saying that, so that you also don't get into.
But started with self-awareness. You realize this is me. You met yourself and called yourself.
And it's not going to on Google and getting the perfectionist
and saying the right answer for weakness.
The right answer for this. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Whenever you are asking us about, I have found these questions, and I think we at one time had this conversation about if you are an animal, if you are a tree, if you are I don't know what would you be, and I know. Tell us what is behind those questions, because I know there are recruiters who are direct, but there are others who will ask you about this animal question. But it is not it's actually a very important question. There's something behind that question. So you Gadoni, tell us, first of all, do you use this?
Controversial. Who are these people? Please, I'd love to meet them and I'd love to understand, because in today's age, when you have personality assessments and tests, to me it's quite strange to be asking somebody. I could easily tell you, me, I see myself as an eagle or a lion. You know, in your head, that's what you are. But if you sit and do an actual Hogan assessment, MBTI, DISC, the list is so long, week 5 profile, you actually get the root of who you are. So I don't understand why people are still asking those questions. Maybe it's for fun, I don't know. So if they're having fun, good for them. Me, I don't ask those questions. I have never asked those questions. I prefer to use a technical tool to understand a personality. Because these things have been tested and tried for over 50 years. So why are we wasting time asking if you're a fish or a dog? Which kind of dog are you?
Or a tree.
Or a color.
Cactus. The list is long. But for me, that question, outdated, needs to go. Let's use technical tools to assess people's personality
and character.
And if your, what do you call it, if your assessment process or selection process doesn't use those, it's okay. These things are there for free. You can do a 15-minute test, you can do 1 hour test for free and understand so that when you're even introducing yourself, you can end up skipping such a question because you'll say, hi, I'm Gadoni, this is my MBTI profile. Well, you won't say it so formally, but you'll say I'm an ENFT. You know? And somebody who understands that language will be able to assess, okay, you're a lion, right? It's that simple. I don't know what you think.
Do you use
first of all, I don't use them. But I think when I take probably trying to understand the school of thought, you'll find most of the thinking behind such questions, they don't have right or wrong answers. That's the first thing. Most of them will use them as an icebreaker.
Oh, yeah.
So probably you've come in, it's a Zoom call, we are probably 3-4 panelists. I see you're panicked out of your eyes, right? You're jittery as I can't imagine, right? So I'll probably ask you, which is your favorite football club if you're a guy? And you'll talk about Arsenal and how you've supported them for the last 15 years without a trophy, but you'll ease into it.
It's true.
You get? So it's not necessarily the animal question or what, but you'll probably find an interview question in a way, traditional, just to help you ease into it. So when you ask these questions, actually, don't be like Gathoni and Joseph say they don't ask that or they don't like that. Take it easy. It's not right or wrong. So if I ask you which color would you be and you tell me blue, so you think I'll write wrong. Of course I'll not fail you. Because right was yellow. We were not looking exactly. We were not looking for any color. We were, I think they didn't have a good question to help you ease into it. But you can make that situation work for you. Talk about the color you like. You even talk about how you've changed colors over time as you manage your pace, you know, as you manage your breathing. Because when you come into an interview, most of us are very anxious, right? So just use that to manage your nerves.
And I mean, that's being free in an interview really helps. It really helps you to answer the questions. Yet as the person being interviewed, as the candidate, I cannot go there and start my own stories. So if the interviewer is nudging you towards something, then have the conversation. And just ease into it. So ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what you feel about that. Please keep on asking your questions down below. Other questions about what we have talked about, the CVs, talking about the interviews, talk about your experiences. Tell us those easy, weird, hard questions that you have met in interviews on the comment section. And as much as possible, we'll also try to answer a few of the questions that will be coming after this. Our next episode, we'll be doing part 2 because your questions were so many and we could not do all of that in one episode. So in the next episode after this, please don't miss it out. I'll still have Gathoni here, I'll still have Joseph here, and we'll be getting into the meat of things. Those salary questions, salary related. I didn't want to do salaries in this first episode because
it's heavy.
Wow, it's heavy. Just keep tuned in for the next episode when we'll be discussing salaries, and we'll be also talking about other intricate matters that appear or happen during or just within the period of interviewing before you get a job. That has been our time, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you love this content. So please I'm giving you 10 seconds right now to subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet subscribed. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Please subscribe, hit the notification button, and see you in the next episode.